I'm just going to do a quick review for you here. I've watched quite a bit of this already, so it should be pretty easy. You get an early opportunity to touch the puck on this around play. And I really like what you do coming down the wall, chipping through, get past the body, and you end up in this position. And if you do check your map early, what you'll see is your teammates giving you the walls on both sides. This guy's going to route down. So in theory, you should have easy around pass. Or maybe you have backup same if you can contort your body in that kind of a direction. But what you don't have is anyone in the middle. So there's definitely an area of, or a certain amount of comfort in centering pucks because it forces them to defend, but also you don't want to just be giving it away for free. So you throw that in the middle and they have to clear it, and you guys end up getting possession back, which is nice, but you really didn't have anyone there, which is just kind of a map check and also comfort. And I don't blame you at all getting such an early opportunity to have the puck below the goal line. It's kind of like, okay, what do I do with this? But most guys, at least when you're playing D1, will give you the points. They'll give you the down low potential. So kind of look for that extra pass rather than just centering it when you're in doubt. And I like what you do here. Stick handling, trying to get through traffic, but it gets blocked. So there it is again, right? You get an opportunity to pick up the puck. He does cut this low potential, and then you have pretty tight point. But I do think you could go to the point here, assuming this guy keeps going, and then he'd have to kind of really turn sharply to get there. I know that's not how your body's predisposed to go based on how you're going, but I think that's just because you decide too early. You're like, I'm going to just try and center this. But you have Owen giving you down low, and you have wall. So the play is basically anywhere but the middle, just because you don't have any bodies there. So that'll come naturally with you playing more with the team, communicating, and ultimately feeling comfortable making those extra passes rather than just centering it, which I think a lot of people end up defaulting into in D2 and in pugs. There's a lot of comfort in centering the puck. This is an interesting little play. For me, this is your push to make, for you to come across and let 4 stay with his guy. Just because you're going to give up a shot here, which is fine, but for 4 to turn and get on his horse to pressure this guy, you can't ever get in front of Trev Crow in this situation. So there's no point in you covering that guy, but you can potentially get a block if Glensky gets a little bit too greedy with how long he takes to shoot. So you have to work across, and ultimately you're going to draw a line in the sand here and make that push because you guys are flat. And so he won't really be able to get beyond to this interior ice because you're trying to draw, if you were thinking slot. So really this guy should just go with deny the pass all the way through and let you make that push. So there's a little bit of miscommunication. You seem to think that you're just going to back check to the slot or maybe pick up 16, and then you make that recollection like, oh, I need to make this push. And so now if you had just been going there that whole time, he would never get to this spot, but he gets to a spot on the ice where he can shoot uncontested on your goalie. So just watching it back full speed, you're up. Mind you, you're up off of your centering pass. So I don't mean to be overly critical, but 3-on-1, right? And then turns into a 2-on-1 because you use your sprint bar. You make that push. It's really a pretty harmless play. But as it stands, you path away from him. So you guys get out of that one, which is nice. It looks like he thinks you're going to come in and grab that, and maybe you're playing a little bit deferral just because of the situation and all. So then he has to make the pass, and it's a little bit suboptimal because Owen was a little bit deeper. So now you guys still don't have possession. Comes through though, and you're in a good spot to cut off that pass. Find a nice little saucer up ice. That was pretty good, all things considered. Puck might come back to you even. You have point. No reason you can't call out for this and demand this puck if you're checking your map. Good job staying. Same thing. I'm not sure exactly what he was looking for that, but again, you're plenty talented. I think you could call for this if you want it on the flat across. It's a little bit hard because it kind of has to be in front of you unless you want to go back and grab it. But I do think it's there just looking at the screen in front of you and the route that Trev takes, excuse me. But as it stands. You guys are able to bump him off the play with Stammer and keep your ozone play going. I like how you like to play this. It's a little bit of a staggered attack with their two forwards. You have forward, forward. It's always a little bit awkward when they're not flat like this, because in your mind, you know, do you play this up and surf across, or you know, do you do what you do where you kind of hedge your bets on the potential of this chip getting around him? So if forward gets beat, you don't want it just to be like this guy to be gone. So I think that's kind of what you're doing by effectively like playing in the middle of these two. And then at this point, you have a lot of information at you at the same time. You know, you're trying to monitor what's the speed of this guy. Is he trying to blow over me or blow by me? And what is this guy going to do? Is he going to win this puck? He ends up getting turned around. I don't know why my frames get cut off so bad in that moment. So they find the cross ice. The only critique, if you were really being nitpicky, is like, could you argue that you could play with your full sprint bar? Could you play in this passing lane while still potentially threatening the push if you need to go make the push on them? So that way, when it looks like you start to slow down basically at this point, but if you'd slow down sooner over here, do you end up playing in that passing lane? But regardless, as it stands, it goes through, and I really like the push you make. I would love if my frames would stop breaking like that. I think you can be a little bit more aggressive on this block, just because you're basically playing to deny any kind of centering pass right now. And as you go in, you can see you're pretty worried about that threat. But I don't really think that there's anything there with the way that you're pretty insulated by your two teammates. So I would be going in with this like guns a-blazing with my stick out, trying everything I can do to block that shot. But so that's just a technique thing that if you're able to keep that off the net, maybe you don't have to deal with a scary rebound right after. But all of that's pretty nitpicky. I do like the way you played that rush, all things considered. Really good job of recognizing where the threat is. A lot of times you have to make that push and take away the defenseman, and that's exactly what you do. So you're lining yourself up to be ready for that, which also lines yourself up to be ready for D1. You find, you know, potential block. I guess they did it for you, but you would have been there if not. This one's a bit quick. It comes right back down your throat. And it's one of these moments where you might feel like, oh, I can kind of recoil and look to get set again. But this one's just going to get sent back in really quickly. And that happens quite a bit to where you get punished on this, essentially, by turning and not recognizing quickly enough that 16 needs a man on. And so you're going to turn towards your corner. Then you're like, oh shit, can I get there? Give up a scoring chance there. Or, you know, these are all just shots, nothing crazy. But if you're just truly being nitpicky about some of the details, these are plays that you could absolutely break up. So we'll keep going. You guys score there on an own goal. Kind of funny. Forecheck position is really good. You're on your guy tight like that. Good on you. He does beat you there. Looks like just a little bit of hesitation on the route because you really should be ahead of him potentially. But you're kind of erring on the side of caution with your route and trying to play above it. But really, no reason you can't just, you know, snuff this right at the source and beat out that outlet pass. The easiest way to defend is just to deny receptions. So if you're not holding A there, you're potentially in a better spot to kill that right away. But again, sometimes it helps just being patient, and it's definitely an HQMer thing, where in HQM your best ability was to just like stand up everything, and in puck with the body collision you can kind of be a little bit more pragmatic about it and just play in front of guys and block shots using your body. Like what you did there. Good job playing both. Kind of forces the pass, helps your partner recover from a play where he was just a little bit behind it. Chip, you guys are going to go play offense. Good play. Nothing crazy happening here, to be honest. Just kind of waiting for the next opportunity. Good gap. Here you can see just a moment of hesitation where you get left in the dust on a sprint gap. And then you're going to compensate for it. You get in front of it, so it's no problem. It's just one guy sprinting and then you reacting. Nice job. I do think you can just finish off your route here. So you seem to stop and thinking he might need your help, or maybe you need to run the pick on him. I assume when you're playing with Austin, he's not like this is an owl going back for it, and I mean no shade by that. He's looking to make an outlet pass. So he's not necessarily usually probably asking for a pick on the F1, which is this first guy in, right? So I think what you can do is basically just follow your route across, and that gives him either you as the initial like chip, just kind of a slip to you, or I forget what it's called. Basically, forward takes the hit and just pushes it along. Because if you look at their forecheck, they have no one, even above the red line. So all you have to do is just worry about beating Trevor. So just indirect, you skate it. The other option is what he ends up going to, either because he doesn't have you or because he liked that to begin with. But is the hard rim to Stammer here. So Stammer's going to collect it, and I think how this works out is if you had followed your route, Stammer facing this direction, easy tap to you, and you're coming with your toe caps toward it, pointed towards the opposing net. But you turn away, and as you can see here, Stammer then basically has to hit this long cross ice pass, which can be good, but it's also hard. So I think if you were just underneath that and playing on the same boards, it's a really easy underneath play to you. And then you're weaving and playing into this lane, potentially on a kind of a partial 2-on-1 or 2-on-2 rush. Nothing really happening here. This is an interesting one, just a really specific technique thing. But the way you go into this is basically asking for kind of a bit of a dicey. Maybe I'm wrong, so bear with me. But I just feel like playing this hard is your best course of action, and trying to shovel it. If you look frame by frame, your stick doesn't really move. So maybe you just get absolutely screwed by stick on stick and you get poked. I don't know why the toe of the blade's just so strong. But I think you can actually get in there first and shovel it up off the wall, and in that case then you'd have Owen coming down on this wall, or sorry, that's Stammer, so you don't be owning that wall. So I would be going and just trying to shove up that puck. It feels like to me you kind of go in there with an intent to like chip or tie it, which is just asking for trouble in 50-50s. So I think, yeah, it's frustrating you lose that, but there's also it depends how you go in and how you choose to gamble with what you're doing. If you try and play pucks hard, you won't get punished as much on the dumb physics of the game. I really like this decision to get off the wall. Anticipation of Jabba making this push on you, and you have this push as well, so you're kind of getting met. You choose to get off the wall, given that A, you already have a player on that wall, and B, it gets you around their pressure, their coverage. So all of a sudden Jabba is now basically having to make this push, which Glenski was already going to make, which means this is a really not super easy but viable pass to lead you into that area, which he finds. Then you make a move around Mike, get a solid shot off here, and a rebound opportunity, tip potential, all that good stuff. Only 20 seconds left here, so you're probably just looking to potentially play this hard, right? It's just a tech thing, so it's unfortunate, but I think it matters how you go into it. But ultimately, that'll be up to you, because some guys play it just totally different than how I play it. So, and then sometimes they're way better on puck pickups than I am, so I totally respect it. Still no time left, so we'll keep going. Really job surfing above this, anticipating that maybe you win that, maybe you don't. But if you don't, then this comes up and you're playing a 2-on-1. So really good body movement and turn ahead of it, just kind of hedging against the potential threat. Here I think I'm not sure if you're worried about 2-on-1 or if this just comes at you quicker than you anticipated, or if you were hoping Stammer would be able to lift the stick. But your route should be basically trying to dig in and buy as much ice to make that push. When you concede him this much ice, it allows the cutback to happen. So ideally, and I think this is all stuff you know based on how you've routed already in this game, but what you don't want is to have him basically able to take inside ice. And so because you've left him all this space early, now you're obviously aware of where he's going, but like with your control trying to spin to take that away, but it all happens in a route ahead of it. So it might seem counterintuitive. I think this is the route you take essentially. You turn off. So this is the route you take. Okay, let's go blue. Right. Let me make sure that that's right. And then you turn. So that's the route you take. The route I would suggest taking at this point is basically just going almost straight at him and trying to drag your stick on the backhand right here and steer him towards that wall by all means. And if he finds the pass to Glenski, so be it. But that's what I would be trying to deny. Let me just make sure so we can see how that, if you're on that route, I think you're sprinting down on him and keep forcing him. And you kind of just basically give up a 4-inch shot versus the full slot. But I think obviously you know some of that already, so. Finding a way to kind of mentally reset after that one. Like, I do think a little bit of it to helps off face-offs, maybe just a quick 180 turn. Can't really read that, can you? 180 turn, and then you're immediately playing Trevcro here, because you're going to do the long donut turn, and it puts you guys in an awkward spot, because like, now let's say he goes straight up and it's a clean puck pickup. Is Austin making this push, right? Or and then are you picking up Glenski? And if so, how do you get by him? And how does Austin get to that wall? As it stands, Mike bobbles the pass, so it doesn't actually matter. But you see what I'm saying, to where like if this is up right away, I guess now you can make that push. But he's deeper than you. You still have sprint power. I think it's fine. I'll let it go. Sorry if I'm being tic-tacky on some of these. Good try. Like playing around that stick, getting it down low is pretty good. It's unfortunate you guys aren't going to win that race. Good body angling, turn, a lot of good control usage to get the little a quicker turn. So there's a lot of good tech here on your skating. You use your sprint bar to catch up to him, get underneath the stick. I like that. Really important on puck battles is just winning the low stick compete. So you seem to have that down. This is interesting. I wonder about alt usage potentially. If you're alting and controlling to try and find this stick flip, because it really looks like you should be able to turn and spin on this, but your body momentum is just taking you all the way out of the zone. So I don't know if you are by default, if you're like you have your hand WASD, you have spacebar, control, it's about right there, and then alt and shift. Maybe that's not perfect dimensions, but what I have is by default, my fingers are going to be really tough to look at. Finger, then thumb is by default, give me some fingernails, on alt, not spacebar. Some people, and in order to do that, it's basically underneath my whole hand, folded underneath it, which is a bit awkward, but you get kind of this claw grip. and then pinky goes back and forth between shift and control. And a lot of people, like I said, will rest their thumb on spacebar, but I think alt is 1,000 times more useful. If you're holding it there, you can make a lot more plays. And really, when you're shifting to spacebar, you're just clicking it once. You're not holding it, right? So why would you hold your thumb on the button that you have to tap when you can hold it on the one that you have to hold and then go tap and go back to it? But you do what works for you, honestly. But that's just my belief, is that the thumb default position should be on the alt, at least as a defenseman, because you're constantly having to kind of survey the ice and reroute yourself or stop and spin, kind of like you're doing right now. Really like this. This is perfect handoff, to where he's going to push this and you're staying with your guy. This is the same as what we talked about before, where you were in this spot that he's in. And if you go, let's say, then it's an easy high sauce, and your partner can never make up this ground. So by playing the vertical rule, 4 has to make this push. And so you staying with your check is good, but there's indecision to where you think maybe I do need to make that push. So you end up leaving him more open than he should have been. So it's just about making these, as you play more high elo games, you'll make these reads much quicker and make the right reads and trust what your defenseman's doing. All of this, it seems like it's coming off of kind of uncertainty with what your team around you is doing, and then trying to basically be overcautious, and as a result you're giving up too much space. Or I shouldn't say too much space, because you're actually playing really well, but what I mean is more space than you really need to play optimally. This is an interesting one, because what ends up happening is they rotate low. And so I talked about this in the low breakout. It's in the team strategy Discord channel. So they're giving their puck carrier low forward and low D, and D has the puck, and then you have forward on some kind of like diagonal post coming across the ice. And so what ends up happening is either your forward should make that push and your D should gap up tight on this guy, or your D makes the read around. I need to be better on drawing my arrows, and this guy reroutes and comes back. The other option is, this is more of a forward thing, but this guy can loop and come back at it. I don't like that, and I find a lot of people do that. And then this guy can pick up that, and you pick up that. But all that needs to happen is there needs to be a body on each of these guys. And so, like I said in the Discord, I said the reason why this works is a lot of defensemen don't feel comfortable coming up the ice and being above the blue line, even though right here this is your check. So that's where you really should be here, but you don't know if this guy is going to pick up that guy, and if that's the case, then you have to make that read and go over there. So it's basically, the quicker you can recognize what's happening, the less susceptible you'll be to it. So they decide to do that. So now you're all above it, which isn't terrible. So maybe Owen can work back to this, but who's covering this guy? Because right now you guys are both routed the wrong way, and you're committing to that. So now that outlet becomes super easy to Jabba, and ironically you guys don't get punished on it, but the concept remains. You have all of your players on one side of the ice, and you have all of the red players on the other side of the ice with acres of space to receive. So making sure that you're communicating properly and recognizing the easiest thing you can do is just let these guys operate, and they'll all work back to it and rotate, and just read that all of a sudden I know you're the right D. Excuse me. You're the right defenseman, but in this case they're activating their D, and you're playing man on man, not zone. So, or at least you should be. So your check is over there. This one, just based on what I've seen so far, like, you're plenty talented. to be demanding the puck, or not demanding the puck, but a part of a cog in the cycle. And so my cognitive belief is always that if you are on the team and you're open, you should get the puck, regardless of who you are. Even if you're BGP, you still deserve to get the puck every once in a while. And so what I'm seeing is tons of space right here. So no reason you can't even kind of anticipate this early and want the puck. I don't care if it's D2 or D1, whatever. If you're open and you're playing in the game, you should want the puck. And that little area pass seems super open here. And by you being up on that, maybe it causes them to leak out early and cover that, and it's just one fewer guy in the shooting lane that they're trying to find here. Good pinch, good read, sprint usage right down. Those are the ones you just stop right away and kill early with your pre-route positioning and tight gap. Nice play up the wall, gets you guys going. So your partner has the puck, cycling, doesn't change anything. Owen now has the puck at the point, turns it over. See how it's going to work out. You're surfing. You're looking at maybe do I need to go get over to Java? It doesn't matter. You guys won the puck. Cool. Point, open. Here's the interesting. I think again it's going to be a centering pass, and it's really close. If you make it through this stick, you have Owen in the net. So I don't hate it, honestly. But I also do point to your stand bar. You have full stamp to use here still. So I wonder about just being able to kind of push this to the wall for yourself and protect around them. I think it's pretty hard with Java over your shoulder, so I don't hate it. Sometimes you just kind of have to like live and die by the chaos. And legit, if you just get this underneath into this triangle of the defender, Owen's wide open. So good play, honestly. Just hits the shaft. A nice stick lift. Sucks you're not able to make a play out of that. Reading some of these, like if you're lucky enough to get it, but you have no speed, you have 5 kilometers per hour, just like corralling this to anywhere that you think might be safe is helpful. A lot of times, like if this puck is stopped in their zone, they're probably going to win it. But playing it smartly to like a wall can sometimes be better than just letting them come in and pick it up. But it's still just a forecheck situation. It's a bit awkward. I think that was you, but also don't understand why you would read it. But just looking at the speed of the puck, he might be calling for it, but he's not going to get there, and you can. But not the end of the world. These things happen like legit every game, probably about 30 times to each team respectively. This one's really interesting, actually. Don't get punished on it, so maybe it's just a moot point, but if I notice you're a little bit televisioning on this guy and looking at that pass and trying to anticipate, your check is coming in behind you over your left shoulder. I'd be a little bit more focused on staying in front of that guy. So you can see at this point, he makes it around you. You have sprint to use and burn. It's just crossed in front of you. And so if you're using that sprint bar early or at the same time as Trevor, you're maintaining body position, and you're basically grinding him out as you guys go to the net together and denying that potential route. But tunnel visioning, holding left mouse button, worried about this pass, and you don't even see the guy just blow right by you. Well, you see him, you know he's there, but you're beat by the speed disparity. Nice tight gap, coming low, and then you leave him. I don't think you need to, right? Like you're perfect right here on him, and if the second he receives this pass, you basically just step up on it and kill it right away. And so if you're confident in the way that you're able to match, and you have full sprint bar and he has full sprint bar, you can never be beat if you route correctly. And I understand easing up on it if 54 is like here and they beat you and you're potentially worried about having to make that push, then you basically have to concede this guy and give up that pass. But your team's actually done a really good job in this spot, denying everything and above everything. So this guy can't wheel. This guy's covered. This guy's covered. The only guy was covered, but you erred on the side of caution and let him have a free uncontested reception. And now at this point, you put yourself in a pretty hard spot. What you want to do essentially is just deny this inside track by any means possible. So you spin, and I think what your play should have been at this point, assuming all the sins that have happened prior to put you into this position, you will end up in this position regardless, just because of how the game works. Whether it's your fault or someone else's fault, this happens all the time. Let's say this is meat sale, whoever. When you spin back, you're beat right away. So it's about damage control and finding a way to basically say, like, I want to keep him on the wall, and if he gets to this spot and shoots, so be it. But I don't want him to walk back across. And so in order to do that, I think what you have to do is commit to what you had initially, which is this. And if you keep routing inside and just don't be pressing A at this point, he can't do that because he'd be attacking your back basically. So it's the commit to one side and then swing back to the other side. That's how like meat sale will get you on those 1-on-1s. If you just stay on one side, he can't pull you inside outside and just put you in a put your head on a swivel, because you're just literally standing there. And I think Austin's even better at those things than I am, so I would encourage you to talk to him about body position on those 1-on-1s. This one's really tough. I would consider a 180, but I know not a lot of people are comfortable doing that. But even turning up and facing it, because like you have a dead zone right in your feet, and you basically set yourself up to where the puck is going to come right into that dead zone, and you can't turn and reach it, and you can't turn and reach it on that side. So it's pretty tough, but the stick is an otherworldly creature. It can do some crazy flexible things. This one's pretty awkward because the way they're coming at you, they don't necessarily tip their hand on like how they're gonna forecheck you. Is this guy coming? They're both coming. It's kind of hard to tell like who's actually gonna commit to this. So I think what you end up doing here is rimming this up, which is perfect. You can't quite go back same because 54 could sprint straight to the wall and just take that. And he's also cutting off your wheel, so you can't take the net and skate. So what you have to do is go up the wall, and that's exactly what you do. One little detail that'll help your forwards is if you honestly just rim it now. What you want to do is keep it on the wall, and so it's not bouncing off like a foot off the wall, which would allow this guy to either come back to it or just catch it in his hip pocket right away when he's turning, or when he's catching it through his legs. So because you go indirect here, it creates this really tough off-board reception. Let's see if you can see over. You can hardly see it over Glenski's shoulder, it looks like. But this is harder, a lot harder than if you just rimmed it initially and done less. Or even, if you put it to this spot and you shovel past it forward to where it's riding up the dasher, that's good too. But those little details are really important for how you lay the rims. Less is more on a lot of them, to be honest, unless you notice your forwards like trying to break off the wall, in which case you want the indirect, or if it's a tight gap, let's say, then you kind of have to go high and give your forward a chance to sprint by them. So all those gaps that you're doing defensively are exactly what you're trying to measure when you're breaking out the puck and seeing what their defensemen are doing. So I'm going to cut it there just because I feel like there was a ton of stuff there that's relatively useful, and I don't want to overload with too much information or go for 40 minutes. I don't even know how long this has been, so I already did go for 40 minutes, so hopefully this was somewhat beneficial and useful. I thought it was actually a really well played game. There's so much good here to where you're in like almost the perfect spot. You're basically just refining and fine tuning those those little routes and committing, because it seems like you know you know the right thing to do, but then you hesitate, and you don't need to hesitate because your brain is telling you the right thing. You're coming to the right conclusions. You're just saying, oh, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. It's like, like you're actually right. You're in perfect position. Just commit to it is